Hi, I'm your host Kelly Bowen, and you are listening to the Lifestyle Finance Australia show, which is dedicated to creating greater awareness about the power of leveraging finance when it comes to accelerating your growth and personal development. And we celebrate the hundreds of coaches, thought leaders, and game changers we support. This is a platform where you can meet some of the world's best experts in online business, trauma healing, digital marketing, relationship coaching, abundance and wealth creation, spiritual ascension, body healing, and wellness. So if you're looking for your next coach, healer, or mentor to take you on the next step in your journey, this is the show for you. Let's play. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Lifestyle Finance Show. Today, I have the privilege and the honor to have our guest speaker, Myriam Borg, on with us today. And she is a woman of many talents, which is why I'm super excited to share the magic that she does. And welcome to the show, Miriam.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So pretend that I don't know what you do. If I'd never met you before, can you share with our beautiful listeners what it is that you do?
Sure. So I see myself as a mumpreneur, and the whole journey started with being full swing in motherhood. So I had a 4-year-old toddler that had asthma, and I was pretty heavily pregnant with number 2. That was 23 years ago. I was having my number 2 out of 3. And I was working in corporate training, and it was just not viable, wobbling around and taking a little baby that was asthmatic back and forth to a carer, just. So I started looking at options as to how can I'm a career girl, right? I was raised in the 80s and, independence. I want to have my own money. I don't want anybody supporting me. So, being at home and being happy with that. And I love being a mother. That was kind of like central, but I can't do it on its own. I would have just gone nuts.
I understand. I feel the vibe.
So I really wanted some way of continuing my career, but making it viable and at home, because I had a sick child. Looked everywhere. Garbage, and nearly gave up. And then I stumbled on the concept of refunding. It's a very unique kind of concept where, you've got government trust authorities holding globally $100 billion with a B. Oh, yeah. And their mandate is basically to make sure that there is refunds occurring. And guess what happens at that point?
What happens?
Because they're giving it away. Well, I'll tell you now, when the government's owed money, they SMS you and they know exactly where you are. When they owe you money, whoops.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's just so messy. So there was a disconnect, and I really stumbled on it through a show where someone was getting a refund, and a pretty chunky refund. And I was like, I love this, like it's Robin Hood righting a wrong. I'm very good with money generally, people always say you add $1 in front of it and Miriam is just really quick.
I love it. It's a good skill to have.
And yeah, and it was like investigative work. It was just so sexy for me. So I just went, I'm going to become a refund specialist. No idea. There was nothing out there that would actually teach me. And, a lot of tenacity and like just really passionate, because it just made sense, right? Like, I know there's money there. I know I can make money. I know I can help the community. Just got to figure it out. And so I did. And that basically become the refund specialist industry that it is today. And long story short, I worked my own business for 6 years and made a ton of money, burnt out because no one was stopping me. Like, is anyone going to come to the door and say, stop, girl, you can't make that kind of money? No one did. And then I retired at 36. I was like, I'm really good now. I had all my little ticks done, very grateful. waterfront, little babies on the sand, the whole bit, the boat, the European cars, very quickly. The investments for the kids, it was just, I started from a minus position. So it was an insane ride. And of course, you have to have the appetite in business generally, but I had like super appetite. And I was loving it. I was actually enjoying what I was doing. So that kind of makes a lot of difference. And then basically, upon I was selling that particular business and sold very quickly. And I had a person that came to me and was buying and was really angry. It was a lady. And she said, look, what's going on here? You should have told me that it's sold. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I had a lady from WA come with a bank check. Business is sold. And I'd gone overseas. I was like, I'm retiring. Thank you very much. Went to Tahiti with the kiddies, sat on a beach for 6 weeks. Doesn't last with me because, as you can tell,
You get bored.
I don't know. It's a personality type, right? Like you got to keep on going. You got to have something exciting ahead. So when she said, look, well, then teach me. And that became what is now the Create Business model, which is the Refund Specialist system. It is a monster of a platform, and it is basically Refund Central. And so we've set up thousands of people in Australia and New Zealand, in the US now. And yeah, love it. And I'm still home.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Story. And just so that I've received and understood what you've shared. So essentially, the Australian government, and it says all other governments, like New Zealand government, the US government.
But we're in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, US.
Right. So
5 jurisdictions.
Right. So the government has this pool of money where they owe the community money.
Yeah.
Because no one's really aware of it. They're just sitting there with these huge bank accounts with money sitting there.
Pretty much.
Essentially what you do is help connect the people that are owed that money with that money.
That's right.
So what kind of things can we get refunds for?
All kinds of things. You know, when you go and you do, say, a renovation on your property and you have to put a bond to council, most people actually don't realize that that bond is refundable at end of works. So as a classic example, and it goes bigger. I mean, you know, we've got customers that come up and show $500,000 refunds coming through, and we get a chunk of that, obviously, as a refunder. We've had specialists that have come, refund specialists that have come, and, you know, 7 figures, multiple millions with shares. So there's shares that just, you know, there's like when you have companies that are taken over, or companies that have collapsed and the shares are still owing, and there's like funds that are sitting there that gets moved across and sometimes is earning interest while waiting.
No way.
Yeah, way. So, you know, it's pretty exciting. One of the very first jobs I did, I think it was my 4th refund, was for my mother. And she'd done a renovation on a property a while back, and there was $4,500 that she knew nothing about. She assumed it was a fee, not refundable.
Wow.
But it's a bond. It goes on and on and on.
I know there's going to be a bunch of people listening and hearing this and going, what else could I possibly be owed money for from the government? So we've got renovations. Can we give a list? So if any of our listeners are listening.
So you've got bank accounts, you've got superannuation or 401s, you've got deceased estates that are missing, and they're in, like, some of them are in the millions individually. You've got insurance funds, you've got a lot of like corporate fees, you know, fees that are paid for company business. You've got bonds, you've got, which is electricity, water, you know, as a business, you put a bond when you register, or like it just goes, and I can keep on going for weeks.
Wow. Yeah. So if any of our listeners have a kind of like wondering like, hey, I might be owed money by the government, where would they go to find out this information? Do you know that?
Well, you do. You actually, that's the issue, right? the way it's set up, and this is across the 5 jurisdictions, and that's why we exist as refunders, right? Is that there is no coordinated approach.
Right.
Right. So, for example, let's say you've lost money, right, to XYZ, whatever the entity is, right? Let's say it's insurance money that for whatever reason, they could have sent you a check, or they could have just been negligent, but the funds are there, they have your name on it, etc., etc. But that particular company, its basis is not in New South Wales where you live. It's actually it's based in WA, right? Those funds are then administered in WA. You've got Australians that are owed funds in the US because the headquarters are like, it is messy as messy can be. And so we teach skill sets and we give tools and basically everything there is, videos of this and that, and examples and case studies of mini refunds, etc., in order to teach people how to do it. So if you're like, whoa, I might have some money owing, think about this. I was like, whoa, there's billions, and I'm going to take a chunk of that. I'm going to take 20% of everything I actually hand over to someone else. So that's what I did. Yeah. And that's what we do day in, day out, setting people up in this business.
Wow, that's awesome. And if somebody was wanting to find out whether they did have money owing, could they contact somebody within their contact?
Yeah, absolutely. They can. So what you do is you can contact a refund specialist, right? You can look up a refund specialist and get them to do a search on your behalf. But very often what we do is we actually are constantly approaching people. Yeah.
Oh, I see how you get the Robin Hood feel about it. It's really
cool, right?
It's so cool. I didn't even realize. It makes me think like, I want to find out if I'm owed any money.
Absolutely. And the thing is, very often you don't know.
No, you wouldn't. I wouldn't, like the things that you mentioned, I wouldn't even think about.
Yeah.
I know that there's some shares that I have that I haven't looked at since, I don't know, for like maybe 10, 15 years. I don't think they were doing much, but who knows what they're doing now, where I could.
And company amalgamations and mergers happen all the time, and things just disappear. Yeah.
How So now I know, like, being a mumpreneur, that this isn't the only business that you have. And like you said, you retired at 36, you got bored, you having too much time on your hands, you create
never too much time on my hands. I never allow that.
Talk me through some of the other different bits and pieces that you do, and how do you manage it all? Because we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Yeah, there are some people that can do so much more with those 24 hours than others. And I'd love to know a little bit about some of the other things that you have and how you make that work.
Honestly, I think it's passion. It's like I don't know how this is going to sound, but I'm going to just say it. Like, if I could have 5 of me to be able to live these amazing 5 lives, that would be like my dream. So do you get that drive? So I want it all. I want to be the best mom. I want to travel the world, which we did. I took my toddlers like to 42 countries and lived in the South Pacific and had homes there, and like Italy, so I think it comes from hunger. How badly do you want your dreams? And my dreams are not specific to someone else or what anyone tells me, right? It's very much like my drive. I love traveling, and especially being in a foreign place where I don't understand them, and the flavors and the listening. I love languages. So it came from that, and wanting all of that, and wanting not to compromise, right? Like, I didn't want to be a really great mom, but not experience life and just see the world like slow travel. And I didn't want to have just a really lovely home and just be fixated on that, for example, and not be like an investor and set ourselves up like in a big way for the future. Like it is hunger. It totally is. Your drive is, what is it that you really want? How clear are you on what you want, and how badly do you want it? I think that's the bottom line, at least for me.
And this is something that I see in people that have created something. They all have a level of this. What I get really curious about is, where did that come from? Because some people have this drive and this hunger that you talk about, and
Yeah.
some people don't. And let's pretend that I don't know, let's pretend that I was wanting to create something and I was wanting to develop this character trait within me, this character, like this drive and this hunger for something. Where did
Mm.
it come from for you, do you think, originally? Because it's something that I don't know, for me, mine was created very early in life. And
Yeah.
it became like there were certain significance events that happened when I was younger that,
Mm.
like, ironically, there was like big traumas associated with it that had
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
throw a line in the sand and be like, I want more from life. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
let this be my story. And I want
Yeah.
to experience all that life has to offer. And the word that you used, uncompromising, I so relate to that. I'm
Yeah.
relentlessly uncompromising about being able to experience fun, joy, play, pleasure, like all the magical things of life.
Yeah.
Yet I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that it came from having like an adverse experience when I was younger.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where does this come from? And what if you didn't have an adverse experience when you were younger? How do you develop these character traits that have you relentlessly and passionately go after something, do you think?
I don't know. I think I agree with you on that, because I always felt undermined. So I was the firstborn female child in an Egyptian culture, where a boy should have been born. Like, I know it sounds so wayward, but like, that was back in the 60s, right? And so there was always this sense of suppression and sense of being marginalized. And so it forces you, I think, when you have resistance in a way, it does force you to, number one, really get a sense of yourself, either that or you get lost in it all. So it forces you to resist, define yourself better, and really know who you are. And I think very often, yeah, people that, came from very, content, very kind of lovely, calm environments don't have that. They haven't had a push. And so they don't know how to, no, this is who I am. This is what I want. And, I know that it just takes hard work, smart work.
Mm.
And and I think to a large degree, I think your vision drives you. Like, I'm very visual, and I don't know whether this makes any sense, but I get like little visions, like just an image that I see, like a certain restaurant, in Positano. It brings a lot for me, and so I desire that deeply, and so I have to be there. Does that make sense? And so it pulls you. Little visions can pull you, whatever they may be. It could be much simpler or much more kinesthetic rather than visual, but I'm very visual, and beauty is just like, it touches me. I shiver when I see something extremely beautiful. And so, if you have visions that you love, and I think very often, when we're growing up, and depending on the environment and depending on, society, you get like, get real, like when I travel, or I come back from overseas and someone says, oh, welcome back to reality. Oh, like, what does that even mean? Right? Like, it's that kind of suppression, social norming that kills your dreams. And I think that's criminal. Like, it's really just feeling it and letting it pull you. That's how it works for me.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's really, I like what you say, where you said, welcome back to reality. I hate that saying too, because I love my reality. My
Yeah,
day reality is awesome. I wake up
yeah,
inspired, excited. I love what I do. I love who I work with.
yeah,
I love what
yeah,
I stand for, what my business stands for. I
yeah,
authentically really love who I am and what I'm doing in the world.
yeah, yeah,
When I'm
yeah.
on vacation, it's more like amplifying and enhancing those experiences and experiencing something new. Yet the
Yeah.
reality I'm coming home to is still
Mm,
phenomenal.
exactly.
It's not a welcome back to reality. It's
But
a
it comes from that presumption that, reality is mundane, boring, unattractive.
mm,
And, you can only take, like a little slave in the system, you can only take little bouts of joy and then have to come back to being a slave again. And we're wired that way. Society wires you that way. And, you need, like, very early on I pushed. It's like, how about no? How about no?
Yeah, I love it. And what has been like in your pushing back and having those like how about no moments, what have been like some of your biggest like growth lessons or like takeaways in really making that stand and pushing back to be able to break through to where you are now?
I think honestly, like I'm in my 50s, so I reflect back, and I think we are lied to, and so very often we are told it's a lot harder. And having said that, like if you have clarity and you're goal oriented, right? Like, and the goals are pleasure as well. Like my business is also my pleasure. It also gives me those kicks, right? It's not like you're not choosing, you know, negative and then a little bit of reward. Or so I think how easy it was. And the thing I often think about is I could have pushed so much more. Like I could have pushed those boundaries so much more, and maybe I should be like now. Like more.
So question everything really.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, there's two
yeah.
big things that I'm taking away from this conversation is like clarity of vision of what it is that you're wanting to create, because that will give you purpose. And then push, like don't accept the standard norm, like push the status quo.
Yeah.
Because the status quo is suppression.
You know that there's a thing that I read, and I think we've all read it. They get elephants when they're very little, and then they tie them to a rope, and the elephant tries to wiggle and wiggle, and they keep on doing that. As the elephant is monstrous, all they have to do is put that rope, and the elephant goes nowhere. And I think everything around us is set up that way. It's not for our comfort. It's not for our best benefit. It's not for us to flourish and feel amazing about what we,
It's conformity.
So, yeah. And often we accept it to certain levels. Key thing, rebel. So I was the naughty, rebellious child that why? But why? But why?
Yeah.
Ask why. And if it doesn't actually make sense, not just because, oh, that's the way it is, or this is how it's meant to be, or, if you're a good person, you do that.
It's the biggest lie.
So, yeah, I think, key secret. And I think key secret to anyone that kind of pushes a little bit and gets their vision, right?
100%. So I know with all of your businesses, one thing that you will have to be really good at is choosing the right team and managing multiple people so that you can have the freedom to do all of these cool things that you've been talking about. How do you do that? Like, how do you, like, what is it within you that allows you to delegate such key things to other people, to trust them so that they can go create and bring these visions to life for you so you can go do the fun, travel, pleasure, like amazing based things?
I'm not off, so I do life all together, right? Always. So my team are always like with me. Yeah. And I let them know if I'm switching off, like I'm away for 2 days and XYZ is going to be, completely looking after this. But I like connectivity. I love the team that I have. Like, we socialize, like this is genuine. This is not for the podcast. Like this is genuine. So I genuinely like these people because they were selected, they're honest, they have values that resonate well with me and that are similar to my own, honesty, integrity, lots of fun, never taking things too seriously, working like a maniac all the time. Like, so it works. And people that I've hired that haven't resonated with that or didn't have, they just fade away. And it's been very organic. I don't know. I always say, oh, I'm so blessed, but it's a flow, right? It sort of happens. Like I don't have that structure or process.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I'm the same with my team. If I don't really like you and I wouldn't have you over for dinner, I wouldn't spend time with you, I'm not going to hire you.
That's right.
I need to really like you, because if I really like you, then our visions, our values, what we care about, how we're going to show up under pressure,
Yeah.
it's going to be the same. And that's when I'm building a team. That's what I want to surround myself with. I know your team's been with you for a long time, haven't they?
Yeah. 12 years, some of them.
That's a huge compliment to any business owner to be able to keep teams with that level of time, like in business, because so much changes. Like, I think that's amazing. And I think you nailed it with you got to like them.
Absolutely, you got to like them, and absolutely you got to be just straight up and, like human, like, there isn't the structure, there isn't she's the boss. I mean, every now and then I'd go, oh, I can't believe they spoke to you like that. Then they realize you're CEO, but like, seriously, we've all got a job. We want to have fun. We want to do the best for our customers. Like, that's where it really is very like customer first, always. And that's how you have longevity in business. That's how you have longevity in teams. There is no shortcut, right?
Correct. 100%. I interviewed somebody the other week about this exact conversation. The journey through business, it's not instant. It can be instant success, but really, is it that? It's like, have a 10-year plan, because who you become during that time, like there are lessons. It's a rite of passage, and there's no shortcuts. You can't shortcut it.
You can't.
Anything of high quality and high value took time.
Yeah, 100%.
Rome
And
wasn't
effort and heart.
persistence, resilience, tenacity, consistency. And these things are built over time. It's not like sometimes you like it,
No.
but not sustainable. All right, fun question. So, what's been exciting you recently?
Exciting me. In relation to business or travels?
Anything. What's getting that passion going in the morning for you?
Oh my God. Well, we're in the US. We're fairly new in the US. And that, my excitement is always a little bit anxious and a little bit excited, but I think I see business generally as a game, to be honest. So even though I'm feeling it, I'm like I'm just playing a game. Let's see how it works and how we go. So that's been my drive, right? Don't need it, but really want to do it. Again, it's like a vision, right? Let's expand that part. Let's grow that. And can I actually do that while traveling? So I've booked 3 trips just to see how it works.
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm off to Singapore, Dubai, and then to Spain. And I think it's fun to combine things and just surprise yourself, right? Business, travel, family. That's the stuff that turns me on. I'm pretty sick, right?
Oh, I love it. Normally, because I'm in the same place at the moment. Like, I've usually, when I travel, I'm like, I wanted to turn business off, and then sometimes like I do travel with business, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I find it hard. I personally find it hard to be present in each moment, because I've got so many things coming at me at once, and I'm one of those. Yeah, I was like, I like to immerse myself in an experience and be super present with the thing that I'm experiencing. So I like absorb all of it. I'm a little bit hedonistic like that. If I have too many things coming at me at once, it's almost like a sensory overload and go a little bit numb. So if you can do all of that, and you have the sensory acuity to absorb all of that, that's pretty.
Thank you. But I do have structures. So let's say if I'm in Europe, right? Remember, time zones are really difficult. So I do have little structures where I might do 3 hours, which basically is very, very early morning to be able to catch Australia. And then they know, right? I'm off. Manage it yourselves. Gone. Yeah.
All right, next fun question. I got 2 more. So,
oh my God.
Next fun question. What's something about you that we wouldn't find on social media or any social platforms that you maybe haven't shared before in this context?
Embarrassing something, or
up to you? Surprise me. Surprise us.
I had an RTO, a registering organization, that was 26 people, just one of my fun projects. And when I was having my third child, I was closing the deal in my labor ward. So I was actually birthing and getting the final text that it's sold. And the midwife was looking at me like I was literally psychotic. And she was like, "You realize that you're in labor, dear?" I was like, "Yeah, that's how I like to do it." So yeah.
Love it.
Literally, it closed while I was in labor.
God, that's crazy. Very fun.
Yeah, not normal.
Now, there's one question that I like to ask all entrepreneurs, because I always find this really interesting, because there's a bit of a myth that, and we see this where people will be like, I started within 6 months, I made six figures. Within like 1 year, I hit my first million. Where we're looking at like a small snippet in time that's taken somebody 10 years to chip out, but they never tell that part of the story. So what we see and what we're getting conditioned is this level of entitlement and impatience around what it takes to create and build a really sustainable business. So I always like to ask this question. How many failures were there before you got it right?
Say that again.
How many failed businesses were there, or failed attempts to get businesses happening before you got it right, before you found the formula to make it work?
I kind of started with refunding at age 29.
So you got it right.
Wrong answer? No, yeah, I got it right fairly quickly.
I think it's great.
But having said that, right, like I made multiple seven figures. My first year, like, I made 87,000, which wasn't phenomenal, right? So it's not like, whoa, everything came at once. It was first year, then build, and then feel that confidence. And then, by third year, I really knew what I was doing. And then I really did have growth. So, again, and those 2 years, right, like just to give you an idea. So I had newborn. So I had, Jordan as a newborn, and I was breastfeeding and closing refunds on the phone, right? He was feeding, you know what I mean? Like hard work, you have no idea. But again, I knew what I was wanting from it all. So yeah, absolutely. It wasn't like sitting on a beach and like, millions coming in. No.
Lifestyle by the pool, pressing a few buttons on your computer.
No, but in social media, that's kind of what you see. But I've been doing it for 23 years, right? Like this is 23 years. Yeah, I do sit by the pool, but again, with my staff harassing me most of the time.
Yeah, I feel you. So now we came together because you were looking at getting finance solutions behind the Refund Specialist courses, and because I really like to sort of pull back the curtains on what it is like to be able to put finance back in behind products and the process our referral partners go through in getting this set up in their business. So can you talk to me a little bit about sort of like what was going on for you before you decided to go down the
we had been talking for years in a team, like, if only we can get a way, because we see these amazing individuals, right, wanting to get that break. We know we've got like a phenomenal product that can change people's lives, and then they can't afford it, or they are working and it's, very tight. And how do you get them from that to having that business so that they can do it even as a side gig and unlock the door and run off to some freedom? You know what I mean? And so we've been talking about it for literally years, like maybe a solid 5-6 years, like we need to get funding. We need to get, and I thought I looked, and then I found you, and I was like, I think I told you, where have you been all my life?
Hiding.
In the last 23 years I've been. So it was like a big aha, and I was so excited, and I went to my team and I said, don't get too excited, you guys, like I'm just having initial conversation. They're like, what? And it has been an absolute game changer. So we've put quite a few people through, and we're getting better at it. Our communication's getting better. We're knowing the systems. It's been really, really good. And especially since the people that can do it and weren't able to before, now, like it is absolutely wow, for us. Mm.
That's so cool.
We need you in the US and New Zealand.
Working on it.
Seriously.
So I am working on, I really want, because we've got reciprocal work agreements, I want to get something myself set up in New Zealand and my own brokerage over there. Whereas with the US, we do have business partners. Yeah, the US financial system, it's a whole different ball game. It's like
not as good as you. We've got some, but not. Just saying.
Yeah, it's different. It's a completely different system. We have so much more control here, and we also manage the client start to finish, so they get a very personalized service.
Yeah,
we're still refining that part of the process. Is there anything like in terms of being the business provider and being so used to selling, say, like in-house payment plans where people are paying you off over a period of time?
Yeah.
Any like really big fundamental like mindset shifts or repositioning that you had to embody to be able to put finance as the preferred method of payment or pay in full?
Yeah, I think initially we were kind of I don't know what you'd call it. We were a little bit resistant, if you remember. We were like, we're not going to offer it to just everybody and anybody, because some people are paying obviously in full upfront, no problem. And that thinking like that, I don't know what it is, whether it was emotional, because we've been doing it for decades the same way, and people that couldn't afford just dropped off. And so that was a massive shift that we can, and it changed our whole game in the sense that it's opened our client base wider. So same clients coming through, but a lot more can now afford it. And that's like, beautiful.
Yeah, being able to do more with less.
Absolutely. And more more manageable for the client. It's not a, been good.
Yeah, and it's been a like, I always love watching. So I find there's two kinds of people that come through with finance. There's the businesses that really love the idea of it. Yes, they've been doing a particular process the same way, like you said, for 10, 20 years. They're doing it a particular way. They see the benefit, yet they're not willing to jump and take the bait. So they keep going back to their old pathway, and they don't really get that. The results aren't that great. Yet there's ones that are courageous and bold, like you, where even though it might feel a little bit uncomfortable, you're committed to not just the benefit for you, but where the real commitment is making it more accessible and easier for your client. So you're willing to go through the discomfort to do the refinement, to find the process, and it's worth it because with the same amount of clients that you have, you're actually able to serve more of them and better.
Absolutely.
Honor you for courage to do that and being able to lead your clients with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I see a lot of businesses come through with this, with doing this, and they're the two things. And the difference between the ones that really succeed and go next level with their income and their impact and the capacity to serve their clients are the ones that are willing to do what you've done. So I just wanted to really publicly acknowledge you for that.
Thank you. But I think it comes from caring, right? If you develop relationships like with the customer, you get to know that individual. So our staff, they are speaking with these people, and it's a good fit. They are, a good match. And the only thing that's just standing in the way is finance. Like, it feels great. Yeah. Thank you.
And tell me, Miriam, if somebody wanted to get in contact, if they've heard this and be like, I would love to be a modern day Robin Hood, I want to learn more about becoming a refund specialist, like, hook me up. How would somebody go about this? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
They can easily opt in from our website, which is create.business. That's it.
I'm going to put these everywhere too, by the way.
So create.business, there's an opt-in page there, or they can email me directly, but easiest from the website.
I think I'll put the website down so you don't get a whole bunch of personal emails.
Yeah.
They can come through with the proper channels.
That's okay.
Yeah, amazing. Well, beautiful souls. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. There has been so much gold that you've shared, Miriam. I'm like so humble and grateful to have you here to share your joy and your passion for life, your expertise, like the coolness of what it is that you do and the opportunity that being a refund specialist really offers, not just for the individual wanting to create a business, but you're essentially giving money back to the people, which is so cool that they
So
didn't
cool.
that they had. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do two things. One is that I'm going to make sure that we've got the create.biz link everywhere. And
Thank you.
if it's okay, can you send me a list of some of the different things where refunds might be applicable so I can add this in to the copy? So if anybody's had any of these experiences, they know. And then maybe if there's like a link where they can get in contact with one of your refund specialists to like initiate this process or to find out if there's something available. I just think that would be really cool, because if there's billions of dollars sitting around, they could be in way better hands with the people than sitting in a
Exactly.
bank account with the government. Like, let's get the money back where it should be.
Agreed. 100%. Yeah, you can tell how sexy it is, right?
Yeah, it's real sexy. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would receive that cold call. That would be a cold call to receive.
I know, right? Like,
I found that you have $10,000 or $20,000 owed to you by these. I'd almost think it was a scam, but by the Australian government.
So we always say we're part Santa Claus, right? Part Sherlock Holmes. That's kind of that's the job. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's real cool. I would love to receive that call. That would be amazing.
I'll have a look for you.
Oh, thank you, beautiful. All right, gorgeous. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you everybody for tuning in. If you've loved this, if you've got any like friends or yourself and you're curious about getting into online business, this is an incredible pathway where it's easy. This is an easy point of connection, like one of the best of what I've seen so far in all the other like online business spaces that I've been in. I love this. So if you want to get in contact with Miriam, check the links below. Feel free to share this episode, tag friends, because the more involved we get, the more we can create a difference and raise the consciousness of the planet. I love you. Mwah.
Thank you so much. Love you back.
Thank you for listening to the Lifestyle Finance Show. If you loved this interview, please feel free to share it, because if it made a difference to you, it will absolutely make a difference to others. And if you are a coach, healer, or mentor, and you'd like to explore getting finance set up for your business so you can get paid in full from day one and financially support your clients in a far greater capacity than just your in-house payment plan, head over to my website, www.lifestylefinancecode.com, and follow the prompts so we can explore this further. Big love, beautiful soul, and thanks for the support.